Hello, and welcome to Let's Play Romancing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered! My name is Ziggy, and this is my first Let's Play. I started playing this game a few months ago, and I have completely fallen in love with it. So much so that I wanted to make an LP of the game. Romancing Saga Minstrel Song is a sandbox RPG, and it's so mechanically rich. You have so many options in this game, and there's no one way to play it. However, the learning curve on this game is steep, and it doesn't do a great job explaining all that much to you. But once you figure out how all the systems in this game work and how they interlock, the game breaks open and you start to understand the masterpiece that is this game. There are a few LPs of this game on YouTube, but I wanted to make a walkthrough LP. My goal is to make a video version of the information over on GameFAQs in an accessible way. Now, there is no one right way to play this game, but there are plenty of wrong ways to play it. With the information I'm going to give you, you'll have the tools to understand how this game works so that you can succeed at beating the bosses and completing the quests. We're going to ultimately be going for a 100% achievement run, which will take a few playthroughs through the game, but we'll take this one step at a time. Alright, so to get started, let's pick New Game. Now you'll be given the choice for additional content. Go ahead and select additional content on. Alright, so now we have our choice of 8 characters. The game plays out more or less the same for each character, and there isn't one character who is necessarily significantly harder or easier than others. The first time you play this game, you can just go on vibes and explore the game and try to figure out how it plays. Just pick whoever calls to you. There's a stat called LP, or life points, to take into account. If a character drops to 0 LP, they die, and if it's your main character, that means it's game over. So having more LP means it's less likely for your character to die in battle, but the other thing to keep in mind is that LP is a resource that you can use also, so that's something else that matters. You can use it for certain weapon attacks, for retreating from battle. It comes in handy, so it's not just for getting hit. So on the side of the screen here, you'll see there's some little buttons. So we have switch and cancel. So if I hit Y to switch, hey, we get a little blurb about Albert here, the noble son of Rudolph, Lord of the Isthmus in the Kingdom of Rosalia. As the eldest son, he underwent training in both arms and letters from a young age. Despite having a strong sense of justice and harboring dreams of becoming a full-fledged knight, his naivete often gets the better of him. So, alright, so we can switch back. So often you'll see a lot of these, I don't know what to call them, but button maps to tell you what to press. So just keep that in mind. Keep an eye out for them. So let's look at his stats. So they start a little low, but your stats grow in this game as you fight monsters, essentially. Each character has different growth rates for each stat, and I'm going to put that on the screen for each of these characters. And these different growth rates for the stats make them better suited for different kinds of characters. So there is on GameFAQs, there is a formation guide by Joe Wolf, which is a really good job of breaking down how each character operates in the game based on what kind of weapons that they're equipped with. And I found it's very useful to make good pretties. So we're going to be working with that here. So Albert, he's pretty well rounded. He would fit into most roles pretty well. He can swing a weapon. He can cast a spell eventually. He starts with a low intellect, but his growth in intellect's actually not bad. If you wanted to make a mage out of him. His charisma growth makes him a good candidate for making an illusion mage, since charisma is only used for illusion magic or resisting it. He doesn't have great compassion, so he's not the best at healing, buffing, or defending his allies. So his LP of 12, it's pretty average. Albert's also kind of the main character because his story ties into the main story of the game. But his early game is a bit difficult, and you'll have to work to manage your event rank if you don't want to miss the earliest quests in the game. I'll go over event rank later, but basically, as you fight monsters in this game, the event rank goes up. And as the event rank goes up, certain quests get closed and locked out. So if you haven't accessed them or completed them by then you won't be able to. And in this playthrough, we're going to go for every quest. So we got to keep that in mind when we're going through the early game, especially. So our next character is Aisha. She's a female nomad, a Terralian girl from the steppes of Galessa in the Drylands. Her parents passed on while she was but a babe, but she was raised by her grandfather Nizam. Surrounded by loving, gentle people, helped shape her into the cheerful, curious young woman that she is today. Aisha is the character I played in my first playthrough. It's recommended that you go through the first playthrough of this game, just trying to figure out the game. Go through it, experiment, try out different things, figure out what works, what doesn't, and then once you get to a certain point, and you'll know when that point is, you'll start the game over again. And so Aisha was the character I picked for my very first playthrough of this game, and I really love her. She's wonderful. Let's go ahead and look at her stats. She has the least starting LP of all the 8 characters you can be, and she also doesn't start in a combat class. She starts as an herbalist, so she doesn't have any weapon skills specifically tied to her. She does come with a high compassion and agility growth, so that makes her a good lancer. A lancer is a support character. It can protect other party members by deflecting attacks and acting as a backup healer. Compassion and agility are the 2 main stats the game uses to figure out if you can deflect an attack on another party member, but you also need to be equipped and attacking with the right weapon. So those weapons are longswords, great swords, polearms, and lances. She starts with a lance, a harpoon, and she has that high compassion, high agility, so it feels like the game has her pre-built for that role. And with the high compassion, she also makes a great backup healer, and that's exactly how I used her in both of my playthroughs. With her she also has high charisma growth, so that makes her a good illusion mage. Since we're talking about illusion mages, different roles, illusion mages are a good siege role, which is the crowd control role. Illusionists get access to a hypnosis spell that puts all the enemies to sleep. So that's a good way to keep a crowd of enemies under control. But next we have Gray, a quintessential adventurer who travels the world in search of riches. His sound mind and body have served him well in the face of the various trials he has met head-on. Riches and power are the ultimate goal. Right and wrong are for chumps. Stats-wise, Gray has pretty good starting stats, and his stat growth rates are flat all around, so you can build him into any kind of character you would like. His LP of 11 is a bit on the lower side, and he has a character quest that involves a lot of blacksmithing. So if there is one character to not pick first, maybe it's Gray. The blacksmithing is a whole other system that you need to learn to progress. And his character quest also revolves around the katana that he's holding. So that makes him suited for a bruiser role. Katanas are good at inflicting debuffs on enemies, especially bosses, and a lot of boss battles are made a lot easier by inflicting debuffs on the boss. So that is Gray. So next, we have Claudia. She's a female ranger, the guardian of the Mazewood at the heart of the Befall Empire. She was raised by Oile, a witch who calls the wood her home. Always gentle and understanding, she values living with nature and all its floral and faunal bounty. Yet her own past is shrouded in secrecy. Claudia was the character I played for my first complete playthrough, my second playthrough. She's fantastic. So let's look at her stats. She has the most LP at 17, and her starting stats are pretty average, but growth-wise she leans towards agility and strength. Agility allows her to act quickly, and strength allows her to use her default weapon of bows more accurately. Bows are a dex weapon, but you need to have strength to carry them well. Basically, the way it works is that your strength needs to be 4 times the weight of your weapon to get the full accuracy with that weapon, and if it's not, your accuracy will be diminished. So having good strength is good for a bow user. So she fits into the siege role. I mentioned the siege role before, doing crowd control. She also gets some debuffs, but mainly you'll be using her to shoot arrows at everybody all at once, which is pretty good. So it's basically you want the siege characters to put the weaker enemies, take control of the weaker enemies while your heavy hitters go after the big guys. Alright, so next we have Jamil. He's a thief, a young thief active in Estimir, the capital of Kujarat. His relentless, positive demeanor stands in stark contrast to his troubled childhood as an abandoned orphan. He has his eyes set on more than just petty thievery, and one day hopes to lay his hands on one of the fabled Fate Stones. He's the character with the most dex, and he has excellent dexterity growth. He comes trained with foils, which use dexterity for damage, and they are associated with the tank roll. So he doesn't have much in the way of vitality or HP, but he does have a lot of agility and dexterity, so basically he's going to be dodging a lot of attacks instead of soaking hits directly. He also has pretty good intellect growth, so he wouldn't necessarily be the worst offensive mage you might want to make. His compassion's not that good, so he's not that good at healing, but if you make him heal, he'll heal better than you expect after a while, especially after a while. Alright. So, next, character number 6 is Sif, the female barbarian. She calls Gato's village in the snow-covered realm of Valhalland as her home. Born to fearsome warrior parents, she was trained in the ways of battle from a young age and protects the village with her very life. Never before has she set foot in another land. I love Sif. I recruited her in my previous playthrough, and she was an all-star. So she's got high strength and vitality, making her an excellent physical attacker. Weapons-wise, she starts off trained in hand axes and two-handed swords, which are bruiser weapons. Bruisers focus on inflicting debuffs on enemies, especially bosses. She's also got a lot of HP, which makes her good at taking hits as a tank. Her LP is 12, which is average. So, Sif's another character whose starting quest requires you to manage your event rank if you want to get the earliest quests in the game. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to avoid a lot of enemies, run away from a lot of battles. It's a lot. So if you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to get those early ranks, you could easily miss them. But I'll show you how to get through it. Alright, next we have the penultimate character, Hawk, the pirate. He's captain of the pirate ship Lady Luck. Much like the eponymous ship, Hawk relies on good fortune to turn the tides in his favor. His personal code of honor means that while plundering is okay, murder is completely off the table, an attitude that has won him many admirers amidst the pirating community, not to mention the populace at large. He's got the second highest LP at 14 after Claudia's 17. He leans mostly towards dex and agility, and he's got lots of HP. So he makes a good tank, so you can put him in the front row to take hits, but you can also make him a bruiser to inflict debuffs on the enemy and make those boss battles more manageable. So he's good at both of those things. And finally, we have Barbara, the Entertainer, an accomplished dancer and singer whose troupe travels throughout every corner of Ardias. A consummate professional who never shirks from perfecting her latest routine, her physical prowess is not to be underestimated. So Barbara has an average starting LP of 12, and her stats are pretty average too, except her charisma. That charisma makes her a great choice for an illusion mage. But her starting weapon of a longsword pushes her towards a lancer role supporting the party. She also has martial arts if you want to make her a bruiser focused on debuffs. She's great with illusions, but not other kinds of magic. We are going to be playing our first playthrough with Barbara because she has the easiest time getting to the very early game quests, and also, she is fabulous. Alright, thank you for sitting through this introduction of the characters. Next time, we'll get started with Barbara, explore our first town, and I'll show you how to complete the easiest quest in the game with a very big reward. Next time on Romancing SaGa Minstrel Song Remastered. This is Ziggy. Have a blessed day.